age of heroes would never come again.
Hey everyone, it's JP Bonilla here with the first ever episode of ICE Radio Movie Review. Here with Professor Albert Kim, we'll be talking about a very long 4-hour movie in Zack Snyder's Justice League, which is a director's cut of the 2017 Justice League movie. And after years of fan petitions, it finally came out. So Professor Kim, what did you think of the movie?
So I got to see the 4-hour Zack Snyder's Justice League. So here are my early impressions, all right? I thought that it was certainly better and a fuller story than Joss Whedon's shorter 2-hour version that came out a few years ago.
Agreed.
It almost made that version seem like shortchanged. It felt like, oh, well, they really glossed over some of those original plot points in the shorter version, the original version. But 4 hours is just way too long to sit through a single movie.
True.
Maybe I'm spoiled. Maybe I'm just, we're all conditioned to sit for about 2 hours or less.
Yeah.
But 4 hours did feel long. And there were a lot of scenes that just sort of dragged on. What was interesting, though, was I think part of what made it so long was it was a mini compilation of origin stories for not only The Flash, a little bit of Wonder Woman, Aquaman, and certainly Cyborg. I thought it really highlighted who Cyborg's backstory was a lot more than the first one.
Oh, true.
It was interesting to have his father kind of narrate the end scene to kind of have his long-lasting words last. So that was sort of interesting for me to see, compare those two versions.
Yeah.
I definitely like some of the plot points of Zack Snyder's version better. It was interesting even to see Steppenwolf as not the all-powerful bad guy, that it was really Darkseid from the comics, and to kind of open it up into, a future story for, Darkseid to be the kind of all-powerful Thanos-like character to try to defeat Justice League. And so that's interesting, but I don't think there's ever going to be more movies after Justice League. I wish there were because, they've got a big table, enough for 6, and even more, right? That was the very last scene there with Wonder Woman. But it'd be too bad. It was definitely darker, and it did feel long. A lot of extra cut scenes in there that, okay, there's a street. Oh, there's no cars on that street. Oh, the street lamps are going off. Oh, now they're going back on. So a lot of... But my goodness, you get a second chance to remake a movie? Yeah. I guess it could be twice as long.
True.
What'd you think?
First to talk about the time, I have to remember, this is a director's cut, so it's always expected to be much longer.
Yeah, but twice as long, huh?
Oh yeah, 4 hours is just insane. It's just crazy how different this movie was.
Right.
I told you before, I watched the 2017 Justice League first before I watched this one, to compare the two. And just the difference is just wow.
Yeah.
This movie felt like half a Cyborg movie. The Flash didn't seem like a total loser here.
Right.
And the other one, and then Steppenwolf, I feel like I understood his character and motivations a lot more when in the other movie I didn't really understand him as much.
No, just kind of a cartoony bad guy.
Yeah. And in this movie, you could see this guy's kind of a loser. He just wants to impress Darkseid.
Right.
And
doesn't do a good job of it.
And he does not do a good job.
Right.
And there's some when he finds the spoilers, anti-life equation in there, he impresses Darkseid, and Darkseid has his full trust. In the end of the movie, and Desaad is the only guy that does not trust him at all, and he knew he was going to fail.
Right.
He just knew he was going to fail.
So it's interesting to see, the villains get fleshed out a lot more, and the henchmen, as well as each of the Justice League members. Did I like it better? There are aspects that I did. It was certainly darker overall, and you don't really... there's no hooray moment that a lot of the MCU movies did very effectively. Certainly not. I don't remember laughing as much, and I kept waiting for Flash's Pet Cemetery line to come.
Yeah.
It never came because they eliminated all that dialogue. And I kept thinking, oh my gosh, they did a lot of reshooting. Or Zack did a lot of reshooting.
Or Joss.
Well, oh, right.
Joss did the reshoots and then
Okay.
Zack, left because of his daughter's death.
Right, but then didn't Zack do some reshoots?
No.
With the cast? Oh, okay.
Well, he did last year with
Yeah.
for this movie, but
Yeah.
it was just like the minor ones, like the Joker scene and everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that explains, I never fully understood the flashback scene with the Flash that Bruce Wayne had in his Batcave where
Yeah.
the Flash appears. The key is Lois. Lois is the key. I never fully understood that.
Yeah, and if storyboards are supposed to be true, since they're not going to come, this movies are probably not going to come out anytime soon.
Right.
Apparently, as you see from the movie, it's supposed to, those nightmare scenes are supposed to lead to actually Darkseid doing what he does,
Correct.
taking over Superman's mind, taking over the Earth, and destroying it, just like you see
Right.
in the scene with Joker and
And then
Superman.
therefore predicting the end of Wonder Woman and
Aquaman.
and Lois.
Yeah, and the only survivors, if I remember, like in the nightmare scene, were Joker, Batman, the Flash, Mira,
Cyborg.
and Cyborg. Who was the other one? Deathstroke.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah,
That was weird too.
it was just weird, and and I feel like the epilogue was cool, but I'm gonna be honest. I feel like it should have ended after the monologue.
Right.
Like,
Because now you're just confusing the audience for something that will never be resolved.
yeah, I love this movie a lot, but
Okay.
I will say one thing: Martian Manhunter. Why was he
Oh
in
my
this
gosh!
movie?
Right, and I understand you're setting up Justice League for the real Justice League, which includes all these characters. But then
Yeah.
why not include a Green Lantern, which
They had
is
one
more
in there,
relevant?
and he died in like 10
Correct.
seconds.
Correct. So anyway,
And it was I like that scene too.
yeah,
because
it explained a lot more the battle of
Yeah.
men, Atlanteans, and Amazons.
and like that thought where after Darkseid killed that Green Lantern,
Yeah.
and the Green Lantern ring was just looking at Darkseid
Yeah.
and thinking, this guy might be a good host. And imagine with him with a Green Lantern ring,
Yep.
that would have been insane.
That would have been like Thanos with 6 Infinity Stones.
Yeah. And like this movie, the motivations, everything in this movie was just so much better.
It was, but I don't know if you could explain it less than 4 hours.
Yeah, that's the problem.
It was way too long.
Yeah, and and we also, there were some scenes in Justice League that actually got extended, like
Right.
that Lex Luthor after credit scene is
Oh,
in
right.
the movie, but it's the same scene, but this time it's Lex Luthor telling Deathstroke that it was going to be Bruce Wayne, that Batman is Bruce Wayne.
Right.
And-
Which is a huge plot reveal.
Yeah.
And should be for all villains everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Again, which should lead to another sequel.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
It was supposed to
Who
be
knows?
the Robert Pattinson Batman movie.
Yeah,
That was supposed to be Ben Affleck's the Batman. And it
Correct.
was supposed to be him versus Deathstroke.
correct.
And that movie, oh man, that movie.
That would have been
just
interesting.
Thinking about that would have been fantastic.
Now we have too many Spider-Men and too many Batman.
We have 3 different Batman now. We have
Oh my
Affleck, Keaton, and then
Christian
Pattinson.
Bale. Oh, sorry, not
Not
right.
Christian.
right.
At the
not
moment,
him.
because we're gonna have the Flash next year with Keaton and Affleck. Oh man,
Unbelievable.
these
All right.
This is gonna be insane.
Very interesting. Yeah, and so, certainly DC Universe is trying to keep up with the massive success that MCU has, but
Yeah.
I don't know that they're going to achieve that same level of kind of family-friendly success.
Yeah.
Because this was definitely R-rated.
I feel like they need to be, different from Marvel
Right.
instead of being the same, because that's what, difference just helps it, create better stories and all that. And I'm interested in the upcoming slate, but I would love another Justice League movie, in all honesty.
I would too. I just don't want it to be 4 hours.
Yeah, including with all these new characters like Shazam, Blue
Yeah.
Beetle.
Well, so that would be...
Black Adam.
Yeah, that would be cool. We'll
That would
see
be
what
super
happens.
cool. To end it off, do you feel that there is some things in Joss Whedon's Justice League that were better than in this movie, or do you just feel this movie was just better overall?
I feel like Joss's had a little more humor in it with, clever quips from The Flash and Batman and whatnot that was an attempt to do what MCU movies have done successfully.
Yeah.
I really disliked the plot point in Whedon's version where, the Russian family, then they're, get attacked by the hive people, and then they run out of gas in their truck, and Flash like, Das Vidanya, Dostoevsky.
And it wasn't even like saying hi in Russian.
Right, and then the fake colorful flowers rebloom on the 3 Mile Island thing and Chernobyl thing, and I don't know. That just seemed really silly to me.
Yeah. The parademons was just.
Yeah, and I can't quite fully say that I loved Zack Snyder's version better. It was different. It was fuller. It was longer. It explained a lot more. It's sort of like both movies now exist in our reality.
Yeah.
Is there room for both of them? I don't know. A lot of people I know didn't like Joss Whedon's version. I was just happy to see any superhero movie come to life on the silver screen. That I like. Is this one better? Well, I'm glad I didn't pay $14 for it in the theater, I guess. I don't know.
HBO Max, just for that,
that would have been interesting.
Great, and it was some things in Joss Whedon's Justice League I like better. Were like the scene before they fight the parademons to save Cyborg's dad, was where Batman was telling him, "Oh, save one."
Oh, right. I was waiting for that.
Scene I liked.
I was waiting for that line too. It never came.
Yeah, I just like that. It wasn't bad in this movie, but I feel like that one had more impact, and I didn't realize that would actually be a Joss Whedon reshoot.
Right.
The opening scene in the original Justice League, I kind of like it a little bit better too, where that Superman's memorial, and we're showing everything.
Right.
How the city's
aftermath.
Without him. I just kind of like that a little bit better.
Interesting.
But otherwise, I feel like Zack Snyder's Justice League was a much better movie.
Okay.
And I don't know, I'm kind of just interested to see how this movie could have fit in 3 hours or less.
I don't think so. I don't.
Because here's the thing. Joss Whedon's Justice League was too short. This movie was too long. How do you make it perfect?
Right. I don't know that there is. This is kind of two polar opposites. And so I'm glad you give it a thumbs up. I don't give it a thumbs down. Mine's like a sideways fist bump.
Fair enough.
All right.
And to before we end it here, the one thing I'll say is I feel like also with this movie, it also kind of highlighted the problem with the DC universe, how it was made and everything, because we got for this movie, we got Man of Steel, Batman vs. Superman, Wonder Woman, and Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
And, they had to introduce Aquaman, The Flash, and Cyborg in just this one movie.
Right.
And, before the Avengers movie, we had Iron Man.
All of their origin stories.
Yes, the Incredible Hulk. So those two origin stories. Iron Man 2 introduced Black Widow. We had Thor, and they introduced Hawkeye in that movie. Captain America. We had all of their, origin stories set and everything. They were introduced to us. And this movie, they needed to do extra work.
Right.
And
to cram it all in.
It just showed how rushed it was.
Yeah.
And I feel like this movie, it wouldn't have been such a mess if they, built the universe properly. They could have said Suicide Squad after, in all honesty.
Indeed. It didn't have anything to do with.
Yeah, the only thing it did was just tell, Amanda Waller, we're due Justice League instead of Suicide Squad in the after credit scene. But otherwise, I just don't feel, I just feel this universe kind of was disappointing. But it's getting better.
Yes, let's hope so.
Yeah. And everyone, this has been the first ever ICE Radio movie review for Zack Snyder's Justice League. Professor Kim, thank you for joining me today, and we'll see you next week here on